like that in your coaching career, or just kind of new to the game? And what kind of challenge is that to speed up his learning curve?
I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, there's a guy that has athleticism. You know, you got to find the right place to plug him in, and then what does he do well? And then, you know, keep him in that package so he can help you win games, you know. But he's a good athlete.
Brent Urban seemed to come on in the spring a lot and kind of emerged a little bit. What were your first impressions of him, and can you kind of just speak to his development a little bit? What his
Who, the Urbanator?
Yeah.
I mean, again, coaching at NC State and, you know, playing against Virginia the last 2 years, I mean, you just knew who that guy was. I mean, and then obviously going through spring ball and just watching him I mean, he does things naturally a lot of guys don't do. And you sit there, oh, he's got long legs, he's tall, he's playing inside, guys are going to cut his legs and bang, bang, bang. I mean, I had numerous Canadian football coaches, whatever, call me and say, hey, is he coming out in Canadian draft, so on, so he'll be the top 6 pick and this, that, and everything else. So, I mean, he is a tremendous player, and obviously stays healthy, keeps doing what he's doing. You know, he'll play on Sundays.
What are those things naturally that he does that people don't do?
I mean, he gets off the ball, plays with his hands very well. He can rush the passer. I mean, he just has fundamental techniques that, you know, however he's developed them, and then the bigger he's gotten, you know, he's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he was in our backfield every snap last year when we played Virginia.
You lost a lot of tackles in your linebacking core from last year. What do you make of the group you have there now? And Mike was telling us in the spring that they're going to be making the calls with this defense, whereas I guess the safeties did last year. What sort of challenge will that be with first-time starters?
I mean,
in terms of, like, you know,
the linebackers and the safeties make calls, so I'm not going to make that clear. But the defense, I mean, Jake makes calls too. So I mean, everybody's got to be on the same page. Obviously, you know, I feel good about the linebacking core because, again, once they figured out how I wanted to do things, what their keys were, what to read, they progressed very well. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do, so we'll see what happens here in the next, you know, few days. And you know, I pretty much know what certain guys can do and what they can't do, and I'm going to have to develop a couple of guys' weaknesses because they're going to have to play for us.
Anthony Harris was the free safety last year. I guess he's the strong safety now. Kind of what do you need your strong safety to do, and how does Harris kind of match up with some of that?
Well, I mean, anymore, there's no such thing as a true old-fashioned rover strong safety. Both safeties have to be interchangeable based on multiple formations. But Anthony Harris is a very smart football player, excellent tackler. I mean, he's a guy that I can compare to 4 or 5 secondary players that I coached and that went on to play in the National Football League, and because of his understanding of the game. So those things for us, I mean, we're going to take advantage of his strengths to help us defensively.
To piggyback on that, the rest of your secondary, what are your thoughts about the rest of your
Well, I think that obviously, you know, the corner situation, you can name any one of the first 3 guys because they'll all play based on the multiple, you know, sets that we're going to get. But I think they developed it as time went on. I mean, obviously, you know, we want them to be a little more aggressive in some aspects. We're working on that part of it. And the big thing is you can't give up the deep ball. I mean, so those drills come into play every day in practice. But you know, Trey didn't practice a lot in spring ball, but you know, he's got some tools, and obviously we'll refine those tools here in the next couple of weeks and go forward that way. But again, you talk about in a secondary, you can't just say, well, you got 3 corners, because with the multiple sets, you know, a couple of these younger guys are going to have to come to the forefront out of the freshmen or guys that were kind of sat backs, because you got to match up in a lot of instances, and you know, you can't ask your safeties to line up on wide receivers all the time, play even if it's zone, just to try and stay with them.
Eddie Romero's a guy that obviously he played end in high school, shifted to linebacker. He's shifted around a little bit at that various linebacker positions he's been here. He said earlier in his career his head was kind of spinning and it's sort of slowed down a little bit for him now. Did you get a sense in the spring that he was able to grasp what you were asking him to do, and what do you ask him to do in that role?
Well, I just think you're playing linebacker, it's ABC. ABC is ABC, and I mean, just retool him and talk to him in the aspect of what I want him to see and how I want him to attack and adjust and try to make it as simple as possible. You know, I mean, it really doesn't matter what he played in high school to me. I mean, but I've had 9 guys that play defensive end, and 4 of them are still starting linebackers in the National Football League. So, I mean, just the understanding and then feeling comfortable with, this is what, okay, this is what I gotta do, bang. And then now you play fast. When you play fast, you're pretty aggressive.
How much will you guys work on taking the ball away on defense?
I mean, obviously, you always work the strip drills, and the big thing is when whether you go 7-on-7, inside drill, whatever, if it's, some of them can't be live situations, but you always want to try and strip the ball. I mean, the big thing is ball's on the ground, pick it up, it's ours. I don't care if it's a drop snap from the quarterback center. So, as long as you're talking in that, I mean, people, there's been teams where I've worked on turnovers every day in practice, overboard, bang, 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 and got none. There's times where we didn't do anything and we had plenty. So, I mean, but the ball is ours, go get it. Before the question was talked about targeting and headhunting, I'd rather see guys go for the football and the interception than try and tear some guy's head off, because I want the ball back.
Coach, back to linebacker play.
Okay?
Typically, most defenses rely heavily on the middle linebacker. Virginia's had a lot of overachievers that put up big numbers. How do you see middle linebacker play developing this year, next year, going forward?
Well, I think that anytime you're the middle linebacker in the defense and you're the signal caller, obviously you want that guy to be smart enough to know what everybody in the forcing unit does, and then how to talk to and communicate with guys, So, I mean, that to me is first and foremost. And obviously, he may not be the. I mean, I've coached on teams with the linebacker, with the middle linebacker, may not have been the leading tackler on a team, but he was very productive for us to be successful defensively.
John, how enjoyable is it coming back here and coaching at your alma mater and then trying to get things turned back around?
I mean, it's fun for me in the aspect of, I think Doug was there when we were in Roanoke. I mean, those lean years that when we played, when I played here, that, and now you come back and see the success that the program's had through the 80s and the 90s and so on, go on, so on and so forth. But to have the opportunity to come back and coach where you played, I mean, that's pretty cool for me, because you coach at so many other places. You coach so many other kids. You want to be able to coach your own kids, and you also want to go coach where you played.
You mentioned all the other places you've coached at. Do you have a sense of whether you're ahead of schedule, right on track with, sort of this defense's development through the spring and heading into training camp?
Well, I mean, I think all it comes down to is you win with people. All right, that's a famous quote. You win with people. So once they understand and you understand them. I mean, they're going to figure you out. But once you understand them, as the pieces go, I'm pretty proud of where we ended up at the end of spring ball. All right, but then again, now you're going back into day one. Will be Monday. All right, where are we?
We're going to let Coach Tenuta head back.